Just add the whole curry leaf bun, just throw it in. Add the chili. Yeah, add the chili, little bit. Enough. Add the onions.
Oh, I can smell the aroma of the curry leaf right away. Black jasmine basmati dosa.
So you can see this is natural color. Nothing has been added. This is the natural color of the rice.
And I've got some KHAIMA unde with the saru right there. I also have that phal, and then of course we have both the biryanis. We have the Bangalore Muslim biryani and the donne biryani. You know that fat almost melts like butter. Like butter that's brought to room temperature and place it in your mouth. That's the manner in which that fat
I think that's
in that phal disappears.
the best way I think anyone has explained my phal.
Yeah.
So we're also making a Bangalore inspired Muslim biryani which you eat in the marriages and all that.
And the Gouda style biryani, the donne biryani.
Donne
It's
biryani.
popularly known as.
No points for guessing why I'm here.
Here we have two more dishes which are being cooked. This is the typical bainggan ka khatta.
Khatta, bainggan ka khatta.
Bainggan ka khatta.
That's all the green masala, isn't it?
Yes.
You know, I can smell some of that masala. I can smell a bit of the garlic aroma.
Garlic, little bit of chili also.
And you know the chili here, although I can smell it, it's not the sort that's very pungent.
Yes.
It's not the sort that will send you into spasms of coughing, right?
Because this is what chili we have used is only for the color. It's
The Kashmiri chili.
Lal. Kashmiri lal we have used. So what we'll do is we'll put this on a high flame.
I love the aromas that are wafting from that.
ऐसे क्यों ये ऐसा वाला deep वाला क्यों use करते हैं? Why they use it? Because as it cooks, as it gets color, they push it at the edges, and slowly it's cooking. On order comes, they pick it and serve it.
I think the initial heat also helps sear it, right?
Sear.
And
You need
seal
a
all the
high-
juices in.
You need a high heat to just give us a nice crusty flavor.
And that traps all the moisture in.
Moisture on it. That's
Fantastic.
Usually this goes with a ghee rice and dal.
So what's happening here, Sushil?
So here's the black jasmine basmati dosa that I was talking about.
Black jasmine basmati
So
dosa.
you can see this is natural color. Nothing has been added. This is the natural color of the rice. There is no soda, there is no yeast, there is no baking soda, baking powder, nothing, absolutely. It is just 3 parts of rice used to urud dal, some poha, some tur dal and methi seeds.
Tur dal as well.
Yes, 3 tablespoons of tur dal,
Why do you add tur dal?
just to give it the crustiness and the color. So the more water you put, it takes up temperature. So you should be aware of that.
So this is a stone chatti.
That's a stone chutney. It's a soapstone from Tamil Nadu. Wait for a few minutes. So at this stage you can either do butter or you can do oil.
This is what oil.
This is oil. Some more. In fact, this is gingerly oil on this. Okay, so that's when you get the crispiness. The whole idea of making dosa with this is it's healthy. Number one, it's got your fibers, it's got your vitamins. There's no soda. I mean, it's natural fermentation for only 3 hours. This was ground at 9:30 in the morning. So already it has pores, which means it's developed.
So you're basically doing multiple cuisines.
Yes, we do Italian, French, Spanish, Thai, Vietnamese, Chinese, and Indian.
And how many dishes in each?
One cuisine for a week.
So how many dishes do people learn at the end of this course?
About 150.
Wow, 150 dishes over 6 weeks.
About 6 weeks.
Wonderful.
Plus, after that, we also do, it's not only cooking, we do wine tasting, we do cheese tastings. We had a class on organic food.
In the same oil, now what we'll do is make a masala for it. This is my take, because not many people do this. I like it with the masala a little bit, that is latpata, what we say in our language. Just add the whole curry leaf bun, just throw it in. Add the chili. Yeah, add the chili, little bit. Enough. Add the onions.
Oh, I can smell the aroma of the curry leaf right away.
So this will absorb all the fat, and you're cooking this masala. This becomes like a, if I have to say like a masala, like a goju.
It's more like a tomato goju.
Tomato goju. Absorbing all the masala which is there in the curry also.
Fantastic.
It goes very well with your rice.
And I've got some KHAIMA unde with the saru right there. I also have that phal, and then of course we have both the biryanis. We have the Bangalore Muslim biryani and the donne biryani. Fantastic. Well, let's begin. What should we begin with?
Dosa and the unde.
The dosa and the unde. I want to taste the dosa for just by itself. Certain earthiness to it, huh?
Certain earthiness to it.
The flavor.
A certain body to it.
And in a manner of speaking, it's also a bit reminiscent of the earthiness that you will taste in millets, for example.
Yes.
Huh?
True.
Let's now taste that dosa with KHAIMA unde saru. I can taste a mankati in that, and there's also a generous film of the fat that's floated to the top of that ramekin. In a lot of times when you're eating a KHAIMA unde, you're tasting more the gram flour. You're tasting more that grainy pastiness that comes from that. And when you're tasting a unde or KHAIMA unde, you want to be tasting the KHAIMA. You want to be tasting that soft bite of the meat. That's what I'm tasting here. And like you said, it's mostly the meat flavors. In the saru, I can definitely taste the chili heat.
Little bit. This is something which will also go very well with an idli.
Initially, when you taste it, the gravy feels a little thin. But then as you enjoy it, you can definitely feel the fat.
Yes.
An accompaniment which is sappe, which is not too flavorful. This will balance it out, right? So I think by itself, if you eat the saru, you can definitely feel the heat. But with this dosa,
It mellows down.
it mellows down. The dosa almost asks the mankati in this to behave. Huh? I think I'm going to get some of the gravy out onto my plate, just so that you can give that dosa a generous soak in that saru. So I think this particular dosa needs accompaniment that is more flavorful, that has a little bit spice.
In fact, to tell you the fact that this rice is more used to make a dessert.
Oh, okay.
We have converted it to a dosa.
Ah.
When we ate for the first time, we said a dosa will be brilliant with this. End of the day, we want something healthy going in.
Correct. I think now time to try the phal. I love that gashi that is cooked with the residual fat of the phal.
Nice caramelized onion flavors.
That's what you're getting right away.
Yes.
That slight bittersweet caramelization of the onions. The tomato plays a second fiddle
In fiddle.
to it. And I have flecks of that, the fat.
I think that's your favorite part.
And it's a sort of fat that gal jata hai. Fantastic. Now to taste some of that phal after tasting the gashi of that phal.
It just falls off.
You know, I love the way the meat is seared. So it's got a bit of a crust to it, and on the inside it's moist, it's juicy. Well, this is delicious.
Comes along together because it is roasted and then seared.
Yeah, there's a lovely balance between the fat and the meat. You know, that fat almost melts like butter. Like butter that's brought to room temperature and place it in your mouth. That's the manner in which that fat
I think that's
in that phal disappears.
the best way I think anyone has explained my phal.
Yeah. And now, as I'm beginning to get used, in a manner of speaking, to the indulgence of the fat, to that buttery fat, I can now taste some of the masala.
Very light. The chili also, it's not overpowering. The chili powder, dhania powder, coriander powder, ginger garlic paste, a little bit of turmeric and a little oil. That's it.
So I think, like you rightly said, in this, it's critical to get the right meat. Because if you don't get the right cut of meat,
Will be
this will probably be tough.
tough. Yes, very tough.
And we saw you marinate it for less than half an hour
Less than half.
and cook it on the tawa for about half an hour.
15-20 minutes.
So it's almost like a piece of steak. When you kind of cook it, you sear it first,
Sear it fast
and then you bring it to the side once,
and
and
slowly cook it.
there's still that residual cooking that happens.
Keep happening, and that's what gives the crust.
Oh, lovely.
This is the right amount of fat. This carcass was about 8 kilos.
8 kilos.
And we have just taken meat from one part of the goat for everything. So half went into the biryani, half went into the phal.
And so this is from the front part of the animal,
Yeah, the shoulder, the neck, and the substance.
which is also the more tender as opposed to the rear legs, which are worked more, therefore have more connective tissue in that.
That's why that we use it more for the mince and boti kebab.
Boti kebabs. This piece of the meat, the rib, there's a bit of white because there's not enough fat in it, right?
That will be the most juiciest part, crunchy part.
Yeah, actually I like the rib part.
Rib part.
Not the meat,
Not the meat.
but
All the fat right there.
the rib in itself, because that's got the meat and a bit of the fat. You know, this is with some chawal.
Yeah, the ghee rice will be a perfect combination with the masala.
Kushka.
And everyone kushka with it will go very well with a nice little thin dal too. Will be brilliant.
Yeah, thin dal, moong dal.
This is a sort of bone that you want to know of every bit of the tissue on the bone. This is sort of preparation that merits that. You know, the thing with interesting dishes is that at different times in your enjoyment of the preparation, you're tasting different things. So for example, first in this koot or this masala, I registered that slightly bittersweet toastiness of the onion, the caramelized toastiness of the onion. I couldn't register so much the tomato. But now as I come to the very end of my tasting of that phal, now that takali, now that tomato is speaking, is whispering, because now the other flavors have disappeared. The fat is now sitting in the pit of your belly, and now the tomato says, well, here I am, I'm going to speak to you now. Delicious. Oh, bainggan ka khatta. Thank you. Well, time to get to that Bengaluru Muslim biryani. ये शादी वाली बिरयानी है ना, ये same. We've already tasted it soon as the biryani came off dum, but this time we're going to eat at the table like civilized people with everybody else.
Have you attended a Muslim wedding?
Oh yes, I have, but not too many as I would have liked to attend. So if there's any wedding coming up, you know how to reach me.
I think there it's more about masses. That's
Yeah.
the smokiness in the biryani.
So they cook it over wood, right?
Wood.
So that brings a different aroma.
And the consistency is there because they're cooking all the pots at the same time. All the masalas and the meats are added at the
Same time. That very savory, slightly salty flavor of that meatiness in that biryani rice. I think a good Bengaluru Muslim biryani is about showcasing the flavor of the meat with minimal ingredients and the talent, the hunar of the biryani ustad.
Correct. Because the play of 3 whole spices and 2 powdered spices like chili powder.
Correct.
dhania
And the whole spices in this is the cinnamon, cardamom, and the cloves. And the cardamom is both. Buddy, only green.
Only green. Because here we don't use black cardamom.
Black cardamom at all.
And in my house, if you go to any Muslim house in Bangalore, you only find these spices.
So good.
Not even daily.
And then the onions.
Yeah.
So a little bit of the browning comes from the onions.
The browning
Sweetness
and
also.
sweetness also comes from the onion. The tartness comes from the
Tomatoes.
and the curds.
This is a very delicate biryani. That's what I really appreciate about a good शादी की biryani. It's very delicate. मतलब आपको ये बिरयानी फोकस करके खाना है. हाँ? You want to pay attention to it.
पूरा
ध्यान देकर, पूरी ध्यान देकर. हाँ?
In fact, we've got
With some of the meat now.
we've got an invitation to go to one of the restaurants in Bangalore, which probably started the Muslim biryani. And that gentleman is telling you must come and eat the akhni before the rice goes in. It's a different trip altogether.
You know, I could smell the akhni, right?
Yeah, very strong.
It's the flavor of the meat, the fat.
All depends upon the meat, especially with lamb cooking. You cook anything, everything depends upon the meat. And if you don't have that, people what they shy away from the fat. But you should know that that adds a lot of body to the biryani.
To the biryani, yeah.
Not too much. If you're buying 1 kilo of meat, probably 50 to 100 grams is ideal.
Let's go for that sarsina.
Yeah.
You'll see the meat that is swathed in a generous mollycoddle of the fat.
It has a bite to it, this fat.
A lot of very serious biryani eaters, I have heard from them, whenever they go to,
They want the sarsina.
they will ask for the sarsina in their biryani.
Imagine if you go to
And this is the sort of fat that stays akha when it's cooked.
It doesn't
it
melt
doesn't
out.
melt down.
It doesn't melt down.
That's some little
That's also, they say, is a good fat. If somebody wants to come here and say, okay, I want to learn only biryanis, you guys will do that?
Yes,
Yeah,
we do a master class on biryani.
And how long would that class be?
3 hours, 4 hours.
So in addition to your published programs, you also customize.
Yes.
Yes, we do customize.
I'm just digging into the velvety texture of that bainggan now. What I'm also tasting in that is akha pepper.
Yes.
Peppercorns.
Peppercorns that have been softened now, that have softened. So as the heat.
That's the heat. Here and there, somewhere between, it plays a lot.
And the sweetness comes from where? The onions.
Onion, tomatoes.
Tomatoes. इसमें थोड़ा इमली पड़ता है
Imli, khattai,
हाँ थोड़ा सा you need that no?
I put the khattai less because I do, because anything khatta will play with the flavor of the biryani.
You know what's also nice about the khattapan, the acids, is that it also helps cut through the flavor of the fat. So every once in a while when you had a little more of the meat and the fat, you want to basically balance that with a bit of acid, and that's what that khatta helps. That bainggan helps add body to that khatta, so that sourness has some body to cling on to, and that's what also helps cleanse your palate in between morsels of that rich, fat-laden biryani. So good. What I like is that bite. You want that biryani to have a bit of the bite. And you can see certain parts of the meat that have probably held on to the bottom of that urn for a little too long. Also have a bit of a char. I tasted the fat in that meat, and then that rice with the bainggan ka khatta, with the sour notes of the bainggan ka khatta in quick succession. It almost, in a manner of speaking, causes that biryani flavor to disappear entirely. But then, when you meet that biryani again, it's almost like you're meeting a long lost friend. But Fuzzy, I have a question for you.
Yes.
ये बिरयानी तो आपके निगरानी में बना है. Will if I meet Subbu in his cafe in the mountains, will he be able to cook the biryani the same way?
Because every time you cook a biryani, it's a learning process.
Correct.
So Subbu has cooked and I've tasted two, three samples. And
First time I made it, I burnt the biryani, and then slowly I've been cooking every week.
Which biryani? Same biryani. Ah, a guru is only as good as what is picked up by the shishya. The hunar, the talent of the guru in a teaching sense don't matter as much as what the disciple has picked up. So if I'm ever around the part where you have your cafe, I will be most certainly tasting it, and I will also report back to Fasi.
yeah.
That's it, some meat. Now from the fat-laden flavors of the Shadi ki biryani, now we have a biryani which has got a whole bunch of things that go into its making, including some bay leaf.
Completely different flavors now.
I think thoda pani, I think we should taste some water in between.
The scene completely changes now from that to this.
Yeah, it was a song scene now. There's going to be some drama.
This is going to be more like a fight scene
Fight scene.
from a song scene earlier. So this, in my opinion, is a very mild biryani. There's a bit of the green chili heat tingle that I can taste.
For me, it was absolutely without any spice.
Okay.
To personally make it, I would have probably put a little more chili in this.
To me, the slight prick of the green chili that I'm tasting is probably the most assertive note that I've tasted in this pulao so far, in this biryani so far. In some donne biryanis, when you taste it, and literally if you follow it with water, you will taste a bit of sweetness in that water because of the hard spices.
Correct.
I suspect this donne biryani doesn't have too much of an infusion of hard spices in the beginning.
Yes.
And I feel that when you have those hard spices that go in at the beginning, that basically determines the character of the biryani. I think out here in this style,
Yes.
I definitely find that it's a very light handedness with which the hard spices have gone in. And therefore, in those biryanis, you will find the green masala, the components of the green masala that will assert themselves a little more.
A little more coriander, a little more chili.
Yeah, that's what I'm finding in this biryani.
With raita. And maybe a little bit of the gravy. The sherwa.
Yeah. Don't hold back the meat here.
Oh.
Sarabjit,
बोलोगे मीट मत डालो।
Sarabjit is saying, boss, मेरा dinner भी खा रहे हो आप? हाँ? Sorry Sarabjit, एक है ना उसमें आपके लिए? You've left him one khaima unde.
खाने के बीच में थोड़ा हंसी
But you
मजाक भी
know,
होना चाहिए।
when you go to a military hotel, this is how you eat a donne biryani.
With sherwa.
With sherwa.
With a sherwa, with a little bit of some side, a chili chicken or something, or a khaima unde. That is how you enjoy it. This is like a sandalwood movie. Sandalwood production doesn't rely usually on one. There are multiple characters that basically give it personality. And that's what this jonne biryani or donne biryani, call it as you may, is like.
मजा आ गया सुना।
बहुत मज़ा आ गया ना, मेरे को तो बहुत मज़ा आया। हाँ, these guys have been doing the cooking, मैं तो बस खाने आया हूँ। Fantastic. I'm quite happy to see the effort, the attention that is being paid to traditional flavors as well. I'm sure you have all the other regions of the world whose cuisine you also teach your students. But I feel it's always important to know where we come from.
Yeah, that's the root.
Yeah, because I think at the end of the day, you need to have a base reference. And the base reference can only be what is your food, because that is something that you are born with. That is your taste that you are born with. You may not pay attention to it.
It's identity what you are.
That's why when you go overseas and you spend months there, and suddenly you put even that dal, which probably isn't the best dal, but you put it in your mouth, it immediately transports you back. And I think that's so important. So really happy to taste all these dishes.
Thank you.
Fasi, Sushil, Sarabjit.
So the next batch, maybe there'll be totally different set of menus. We will do regional. We'll bring back
Something else. Fantastic. So if you want to learn how to cook like a pro, and I think all the chefs that I've met here, the young chefs that I've met here, are definitely cooking like pros, going by the dishes that I've tasted. Whether you want to set up a cafe like somebody out here, or just dabble a little more seriously in food, or do something else for a change, definitely look up Slurp Studios and the Slurp Culinary Academy. You will find all details on how to reach them in the description below. I hope you've enjoyed this very interesting, very tasty, very enlightening vlog. Until the next time, take care, stay safe, stay strong, and happy eating. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.